good morning, yWhales. You guys on the other side of the planet have convinced me that I need to get up at 3 a.m. to do podcasts. So here we go. So I'm Jay Steinbeck here with my buddy Stefan Goss, and we're with BetU, who would love to be on one of our fireside chats, but the time zones are a little disclusive for them. So I'd like to introduce these two guys, or let them introduce themselves, and then we'll kind of dive on into it. Paul, you want to start?
Appreciate it. Yeah, my name's Paul Rogash. I'm the founder and CEO of BetU. We're launching two exciting platforms. One, BetU Fantasy, which is launching in 2 weeks, which is just a game where people can make fantasy bets on sport and esport events and win real crypto prizes. And then later on in the year, we're launching BetU, which is a sports and esports betting platform. So one's a game and then one's actually a gambling platform. So we're launching the two platforms this year. We're really excited about. Over to you, Scotty.
Great. My name's Scott Parry, CFO for BetU. I've been playing around with Paul in crypto since 2017. We've been had some peaks, had some troughs, learned a lot along the way, and yeah, super excited to get this platform out into the hands of people globally. Some unbelievable prizes on the BetU Fantasy for anyone who holds a BetU token, and then from there the gambling license coming through for the big hitters.
Okay, so there's a lot going on here, and you guys are really trailblazing because again, we are huge blockchain technology people. We believe it all should be in transparency. It's the right way for especially something like sports betting. But government and everyone else who needless to say, we know their opinions of this. Just give us the kind of high level of where you guys got the ideas from, and then the implementation structure so far.
Well, so the idea came when we're just discussing actual sports betting, and to me it made a lot of sense to have a cryptocurrency to use it, because if you've got someone, especially peer-to-peer, if you have someone, say, in Germany and Hong Kong who want to have a bet together, for example, you usually would have to do all the foreign exchange, whereas to actually have a generic currency makes a lot of sense, and then obviously you can use blockchain to upload the bet details, etc. And so that's sort of where it came about. And I originally thought there must have been a lot of companies who have done it before, but there's really been no one who's done it and no one who's done it well. So that's where the concept came. I've got a lot of friends who are, at very high level in some of the big sports books around the world. And after discussions with them, we moved forward with it. And the BetU Fantasy came about because it was sort of a surprise to me. I've been in marketing of some crypto projects over the last 12 months, but a few of the influencers I reached out to said they didn't want to promote a gambling platform, which was a very big surprise, thinking that a lot of the crypto projects that they're promoting to me were a complete gamble. So in any case, I thought, based off the popularity of the play to earn, which has really just taken off, like with Axie and these sort of things, and giving a lot of people an opportunity in countries or from places that they can't afford to lose or don't like to lose. So the game will actually give people the fun and enjoyment of sports betting without any risk. And so it sort of kills a few birds for us. One is it's all-inclusive. When we launch the betting platform, we need to geo-block certain jurisdictions with our initial license. But with the gaming platform, it'll be worldwide. Everyone can play, and they just need to hold one BetU token to play. So we feel like we can just get a massive support of people behind BetU. So we can tap our initial league, say we're launching in 2 weeks with BetU Fantasy, is the English Premier League. So we tap into all that audience, and then we'll roll out an NBA league, then a UFC league, then get into like Fortnite and Counter-Strike. So we can really tap into audiences that the average crypto can't really tap into, or it doesn't make sense to tap into it. You know what I mean? Like with, say, Crypto.com recently sponsored the UFC with the T-shirt sponsorship, where it's not completely relevant to them, whereas sport and esport is everything we're doing. So in terms of promotion, there's so much exciting things we can do moving forward. We already had a few of the UFC fighters tweet about BetU the other week, and looking to work with a lot of sports people moving forward, and especially e-gamers. And obviously the e-gamers are already in the crypto space. So yeah, that's a basic overview of what we're trying to do.
So basically, as we get around, you've got the fantasy side, and then you've got the real betting side. And the fantasy side, just again for my own clarity, is designed for the fantasy leagues in my realm of the world, that would be football American. So for soccer and for the normal like NFL football, the mixed up leagues, kind of the fantasy drafts that they all do, and then the sporting's actually on the real games.
Not exactly, Jay. So the actual fantasy side is still based off the real sport and the real sport events, and you don't choose your team or anything like that. Basically, you get 1,000 fantasy tokens at the start of the week, and we have the markets. So say if it's the NFL markets, the sides playing against each other, and then you might have, win, loss, draw, whatever, the spread, we'll have the different markets. But you invest your 1,000 or bet your 1,000 tokens, however you want. Whoever accumulates the most at the end of the week, they win real crypto prizes. So there's actually no risk. You can put on multi-bets, you can go from this team into that team and have a lot of fun with it, but there's no risk. So at the end of the week, if you didn't perform well, if you lost your 1,000 fantasy tokens, next week you start again, you get 1,000 fantasy tokens. And then, but the winners will have different global winners, and we'll have continental winners. And we're also going to integrate with Chainlink's random generator, where even if you say, for myself, I'm not actually a good punter, so I'll probably win the fantasy results. But we're going to basically give out random prizes every week, so everyone at least has a chance. As long as you put on a bet, even if you lost, you've got a chance to win.
But so it's traditional betting based. It's not fantasy football basic. So to me, fantasy football again is more to Jay. Like you pick your team and then you get scored based on touchdowns, etc. So this is just straight up betting. One is with real money and one is effectively with fantasy money. So that's really the differentiation between the two platforms.
Correct.
Exactly.
So that's the difference on the betting license, the gambling license versus just the game.
That's it. Yeah, you've got a lot of people around the world who don't live in as fortunate countries as us, where for them the ability to actually earn a decent prize pool, the prizes are upwards of $10,000 a week. And so for these guys in those sort of third world countries where they just love their sport and obviously don't have the sort of pocket to be able to bet severely to make a big impact, they can just play for free. And if they're very good at their craft, they could be winning swags of money each and every week, and obviously telling their friends, and we're thinking of viral opportunities for this to be passed around friends groups, especially of those millennials where they don't have a huge amount of bank, but they do love their esports. They can certainly win some money and have fun doing it.
So all right. So I'm trying to figure out now which direction to take this one in. So are they two different apps? They two different platforms, or you're BetU and there's two different ways to hop into it? We're the business side of things, so that's why we're really interested in how you guys are implementing this.
Yeah, so they'll both be run off the BetU token, but they're completely separate platforms. So betufantasy.com, there's absolutely no real gambling. It's just a game. There's no promotion of gambling or anything like that. It's just a game. But we give out real rewards every week. And then there's the BetU.io, which will be the gambling platform, which initially will go with the Curacao license, which will have some restrictions in, say, America, for example. That would be GeoBlock, which is another reason for the fantasy platform. So we can have a platform that uses BetU token, which is all-inclusive. Whereas until we obtain certain licenses, and even in America, there's still certain states, it's only about 20-odd that have legalized it, so you'd still need to be in certain states, but you have to do that state-by-state basis. So, yeah, there's two completely separate platforms.
So I'm gonna let Stefan kind of dig into the technical side of things, because Binance, is you chose Binance, but where's your technical team? What how'd you build this out, and how long have you been working on it?
As I mentioned before, so Graham Malone's our CPO. He's out of Zurich in Switzerland, same as Stefan, or near to Stefan. Our full technical team, we partnered with Soda Tech, who are out of Vietnam, who are basically the preeminent blockchain development firm in Southeast Asia. Built out VCC Crypto Exchange, did a lot of work for Travala, the travel booking site, Soda Finance, NFT Marketplace. They've got a huge amount of case studies in the blockchain world, and they've been awesome to work with. So we started the development in June, and we'll release fantasy in 2 weeks. And then the betting platform, the infrastructure is very similar. So we're integrated with BetRadar or SportRadar, which is one of the biggest sports bookmaking services in the world. And they provide all the odds feeds, match feeds, results, etc. So, and when we actually launch the betting platform, they actually manage all the risk and stuff as well. So pretty much it's a turnkey profit. You just bring in the clients. And we're doing different things with the token. I'm not sure we can dig into that in a little bit, but in terms of, we're not purely profit driven like a traditional sports book, because everything to do with our platform is to do with the token. So obviously as a company, we can generate funds with the token. So percentage of our all bets or winnings are burnt. Percentage will go to fund the game. Percentage will actually go to charity to help support people who have been impacted by gambling addiction.
Hey, question on that. So do you, for the paid betting, do you make the odds? You said you have an odds feed. Like, can people lay their own odds? Because I was checking out that website. I mean, that seems really cool that you're effectively disintermediating the sports books industry themselves if you can really take over the odd making.
There's the bookmaker side and then there's the peer-to-peer side. So we're originally going to launch just the peer-to-peer side. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Betfair, but it's one of the leading bookmakers, I guess, or like peer-to-peer betting platforms in the world, especially in the UK and Australia. One of the issues they have is liquidity, because with any sort of marketplace, you have to have, say, a buyer and a seller, or in this case, a bet maker and a bet taker. So by offering the bookmaker services, we're always going to have liquidity for people to come in and place a bet. Whatever the market is, we can always place a bet. And so then we'd have the peer-to-peer side, and the peer-to-peer, so we'll have, say, a set odd for an event, and then the peer-to-peer side could come in and beat our odds. So it should eventually, as we grow in demand, it'll actually have the best odds in the market. Betfair has the best odds because the peer-to-peer will always beat the bookmakers in terms of the odds, because they won't have the margin. So by having them both in a single platform, it's quite revolutionary in that, and especially with the token as well. There's no one who really integrates the bookmaker and peer-to-peer, because all the big bookmakers make their profit in the margin. So us, by offering the bookmaker side, we have the margin built in, but we don't care if the peer-to-peers come and beat us, because we encourage that because it just helps the platform. Whereas a bookmaker would have issue with it because they're not making the margin then.
Yeah, and so you might have different odds on a certain game, so people might be attracted to bet on your site versus with a bookmaker, because you take less margin, so it should be theoretically more profitable, and they might get different odds, at least better or worse, being different depending on which side you're on, obviously. But that's super cool.
Well, with our feeds with BetRadar, like BetRadar provides some of the biggest bookmakers in the world, so we'll always have our bookmaker odds will always be similar to the majors anyway. But then the peer-to-peer will come in and beat that. So yeah, we effectively should have some of the best odds in the market.
Do you have like weird prop bets and all that stuff, or are you sticking to more of the traditional stuff? Like it's the coin flip one of your bets, or you stick more to games?
Yeah, no, we will grow our. It will start off with a sort of a lower risk appetite as we enter the market, and then as we grow, we'll offer more and more markets. We'll probably stay away from Russian ping pong and Chinese badminton and things, but the major sports and the live betting and stuff, and that's where BetRadar come in with their full risk management services, where they basically decide which bets to take and whatever else, which markets, etc.
And they're the oracle then as well, correct?
Sorry,
they're the oracle. They effectively decide who actually won the game, because getting that on chain, you must have some sort of an oracle there.
Yeah. So they'll see, when we were originally going to do the peer-to-peer, it was actually, we came up with the strategy because eventually we'll have enable bets on absolutely any market and any event. It could be a local sports league. It could be, whatever random thing, as long as it's a public event. And then that's where we came up with a strategy where we'd have community referees and things, where you would have an honesty reserve, etc. But it got a bit complex, especially initially, where we can just integrate with BetRadar, and that, as you said, they work as the oracle and they provide all the result feeds. So initially we'll just stay to the major markets, as in, the major events and the major betting markets, points spread and all that sort of stuff. And then eventually we'll open up to absolutely everything. But initially it's better just to stick with the major markets. And that's where the great majority of people bet anyway. Like that's where the big volume is. So the other thing was, the opening it up, although it's pretty cool and it'll be a lot of fun, there's a demand that is nowhere near as big as sticking to the major markets.
So the thing that I find is really interesting is you're saying that are going from less than 6 months from concept to going live in your beta. Is that correct?
Yeah.
That's incredibly fast. And you guys are entrepreneurs from multiple other businesses. And so that's a really, speed to market is in this industry is huge. How long did you work on the concept and everything prior to saying like, all right, let's build it?
Not long, to be honest. I previously built out a big web platform, machinesales.com, so I have experience in that. And with the team, originally we'd planned to launch the betting platform in December when we first basically sat down and wrote the plan, and then we'll fast track that till October, which has been awesome. But SodaTech are just an absolute first-rate business, and partnering with them, currently we've got about 18 guys from SodaTech who are full-time with BetU, and they've just been fabulous. I couldn't recommend them to anyone who's doing a blockchain. I couldn't recommend them highly enough. So they've been awesome with that, and we can obviously scale up and scale down. Graham manages all the in terms of the actual product and things, but then they implement it. But yeah, it has been really fast. But we really, when I came up with the concept in May, I realized we had to get into the market now. I believe, I'm not sure about you guys, but my personal feeling is next year will probably be something similar to like 2018, where the market will correct for maybe a year or so, assuming the cycle continues. Who knows though? But that's where one thing is, we do have another advantage over or pretty much every blockchain company, is that no matter what the industry is doing, bull or bear or whatever, people are always going to bet, and people are always going to be playing sport. So we have a huge advantage there, and we wanted to get into the market as soon as possible. We sort of rushed through the public sale a little bit, but I wanted to do that because we could get into the market as soon as possible and capitalize on the situation at the minute.
How much do you guys raise? Like, what's your fundraising strategy? Because I'm super curious as to seed, public sale, etc.
Yeah, so we didn't do any seed at all. Sorry, any VC investment at all. I was going to self-fund it until we did the public sale. And I was initially going to not even do a public sale till we actually launched the platform, but then we would be missing these months. Already we're at, I think, about 7 or 8x of what we started. We did get up to like 10 or 15, I think it was. I try not to check the price every minute, it goes mad. But so we did the public sale. We raised about 1.8 million in total. It was all in crypto, so USDT, BTC, ETH, and BNB. And we fell short. I was a little bit overconfident with the public sale, to be honest. I'd done a couple of previous marketing projects before, and there's a lot of different whales like yourselves that had sort of expressed interest in getting on board. And so I was a little bit overconfident with the marketing of it. So it was a bit of a mistake on my behalf. But we certainly raised well enough to build out the platforms and get us going. So, yeah, we're in a really good position moving forward.
How much did you raise?
It was like 1.89 million.
USD?
Yep.
USD.
In our world, we only talk in crypto. Fiat is kind of gone. So, our platform runs exclusively on cryptocurrencies. Our staff is paid in crypto. We pay, as many bills and everything else we can pay in crypto, because it really, once you live in that other world, and again, I completely agree with you. There's always a winter coming. It's the thing that always, every day when there's that big red drop, you're like, is this it? Here we go again. But what we're trying to do is understand that part of my personal thesis, and Stefan is probably slightly different, is crypto is very stable. And exactly how many tokens for BetU you're going to issue. And if you go to sleep tonight, no matter what the market fiat-wise does, you're going to have the exact same number of BetU tokens that exist. And so, the fiat side with all the regulations is what causes that crazy, upswing and downswing. But when you kind of live on the other side of that plane, it's very calm and peaceful. ETH is ETH and BTC is BTC, and whatever you can do to acquire more is just going to help you out in the long run. There may be some years you don't want to put it back into fiat for obvious reasons. But to me, your entire concept and more than anything else that I'm fascinated with is now we've got from concept to the start of building in about a month, and you're less than 6 months into going to launch. And you've done other companies before. This is fast. I mean, that's really fast to be going. And then to even just raise 1.8 million for most people is really a huge win as well.
Yeah, it's all happening quick. I was just going to say, sorry, I sort of cut you off halfway there when you were mentioning about the being on the other side of it. Is that's one of the things with the betting platform is everything is in BetU tokens. So eventually, the odds and stuff is in BetU. Everything you put on, you don't put on $1.50. You put on, 1 BetU or 5 BetU or whatever your bet is. And so there's not actually we will have the fiat conversion in the platform because people need it, and especially initially. But in the future, we hope it sort of gets pushed away where it is just the bet is 20 BetU tokens, whatever it is, and that's you paid out in BetU tokens. So that's not that always back and forth between fiat. And again, it makes a lot of sense, especially on a peer-to-peer side, to do that where you're just getting your BetU tokens. It doesn't matter what the fiat price is. But obviously in gambling, some people sort of been saying it's a bit like gambling squared because you are gambling a little bit on the token price and you're also gambling on the outcome of the event. And theoretically, you could actually place a bet and lose but still win in terms of fiat value if the price went up. But obviously there's also the alternative if the market comes down. But in terms of moving fast, but we just had to capitalize on the market now to get into the crypto space and actually be on an exchange. We actually wanted to move even faster in terms of a couple of the exchanges that I already have a relationship with. Just wanted to see if a bit more volume and things. I was hoping to list straight on with some of the major exchanges. But yeah, it definitely is fast. But obviously with gambling, and I've got friends in the industry in the sports betting space, and all you have to do is bring in the audience in the betting platform, and you're going to be making profit in terms of the sports, because that's just how it works. In terms of you have both sides of it, and there's always a little margin in the middle. And then building the platform, as I said, like I've built peer-to-peer marketplaces before, so it's what we've done. And yeah, we're pretty excited about it. Most excited about the game, to be honest, because I feel like we can just tap into that huge audience. I'm located in Bali, and there's a lot of people that do like the promotion of Axie and things, and they have 30, 40,000 people in their group, and they do scholarships to get people to play Axie, and so we can tap into all that audience so easily, which is really exciting.
Another thing which I think the community have really got a huge sort of mindset benefit out of is when you're looking at an ICO of 1.8 million, the good thing about that, a lot of people just thought, I'm just preloading my sports betting account. At the end of the day, that's a true utility token where I can actually use this token to make my bets. And if I'm going to be betting anyway, I might as well try and get some upside on the ICO. So a lot of people thought, well, hey, I'm just going to basically preload my betting account and I'm going to get some upside with the growth. And as Paul said, in the first month, I think we went 15 times in the first 30 days, which was just parabolic. It's good. It's sort of stabilized a little bit. But yeah, from everyone's had a huge win already, and we're looking forward to getting the platform out.
Hey, what are the tokenomics?
Yeah, let's go through that. I was going to say you got a billion tokens out there, correct?
Well, we just burnt 77 million from the unsold tokens from the public sale. So that went to community vote of what they wanted done with the unsold tokens. So there was percentage, 51% was burnt just a few days ago. We actually, in Burning Man fashion, that's where Scott and I first sort of came across cryptocurrency. We produced a video from actual Burning Man, and instead of the man, I'm not sure if you've been to the festival, but where the man burns, we put the token and the fireworks were going off and just have a bit of fun with it, song behind it. So Then there was also some voted for customer acquisition for the use of the tokens. But in terms of the tokenomics, everything to do with the platform is used with the BetU token. So all bets, betting rewards, governance will be done with BetU, payouts, bonuses, and a lot of things. Like one of the big drivers to sports betting companies is free bets, or deposit this and get a bonus bet or whatever. And so that'll be all done with the token. So we have reserves for that. So there's enormous things we can do with the promotion of the coin, which is really exciting. And as Scott mentioned, it is one of the tokens that, probably a few tokens that you actually will use and enjoy it as well. You can have a lot of fun with it.
So education, I mean, that is going to be incredibly important for you guys, because no matter how simplistic you make it for that user, and no matter how slick your app is, you do have an extra step, which is the understanding of cryptocurrencies, which is probably in the entire sporting community probably 2% of your clientele at this point.
Yeah.
So how are you going to manage the education side so people understand what a BetU token is, how to get it? Because it was funny, Stefan and I, right before we got on, I go, I probably should go buy some of these BetUs, and I'm one of the anti-Binance guys for my own religious reasons. And I go, I don't have anything on Binance. I need to get something. So how are you going to help? And obviously, liquidity is something that you have months to solve. But how are you going to make sure that someone who says, I want to bet on this game, it's coming up, my buddy just said download this app, how are you going to present that frustration barrier to acquire your tokens?
Yeah, it is a big barrier. I mean, especially like it's such early days, and when you're running around on the pancake swaps, etc., you're trying to tell friends and family get involved, and then the actual concept of trying to walk them through the whole process on how to actually get funds onto an exchange like that. But as our exchange quality increases, the accessibility increases. I mean, we just see that once you're onto the bigger exchanges, it's a lot easier on ramps and off ramps. And so Paul's a great educator. He's very, very transparent in everything that he does, speaks a lot at the common person in terms of basic English, spells everything out with a lot of use of videos, regular updates. But yeah, Paul, I mean, I think the education for us is something we're super aware of, and we want to get this to the masses. And it has to be simple, because anytime that's complex, it scares people away and they're never going to proceed.
One of the biggest things, as you mentioned, Jay, is getting people into crypto. In terms of our biggest market, don't use crypto. It's all fair. Even a lot of the football Instagram accounts and things we reached out to, and betting platforms, and you talk about crypto, and I said, we don't use it. When you mentioned about paying in crypto, we obviously are the same. We try and pay as many suppliers in crypto and stuff, and some of the promotional accounts for the NFL and stuff are like, oh no, I'm not going to take crypto and all this, so you pay in fiat. But that's going to be the biggest hurdles is the fiat on-ramps. We're working with a few different suppliers, which I won't name any names, but they've basically built out some platforms where you'll have instant settlement from, say, your debit or credit card or bank account, an instant settlement that we'll be able to do into BetU tokens. So that'll be a huge step for us in terms of making it easier. In our platform already, we've built full swap functionality, so you can deposit BetU, BNB, USDT, or ETH, and then instantly swap it in and out of BetU. So for the crypto people, we've made it easier where you can deposit the funds into our platform and then swap. And we make it instantaneous, and we settle it on Pancake Swap in the back end, and that's where we fetch the prices, etc. But in the future, the fiat on-ramp is going to be what's going to differentiate whether we can take on the top players or whether we sit below them. And we need to make it as simple as possible for on-ramp, for sure.
Hey, is it custodial or non-custodial? As in, do I have to put the tokens into my account on your site, or do I hold them in my wallet and then I interact with an actual decentralized contract?
Yeah, no, it's centralized. So you do have to put them into our platform. And the reason we did that was, again, the ease of use, because it just gets too complicated for the average person with the wallets, etc. It's already complicated as it is in terms of just crypto and getting people who aren't into crypto to use it. So that, yeah, it is an issue that we need to get around, but that's And we think there was no way to bring BetU to the masses if we made it decentralized, in my opinion, where we want it to go.
Short term.
So we need to make it as easy as possible initially to get on.
And so when I'm making a bet, does it go into a smart contract that automatically pays out, or does it also stay in a more centralized system? Like, do I have full transparency as to the contract, et cetera, or is it more on a centralized side for that?
So it's centralized. All bet details are going to be uploaded on chain, and so we'll use different blockchains for that. I know what you mentioned, Jay, about how the BetU token is on Binance Smart Chain, but we'll use different chains and integrate with different chains for the actual betting details. So every peer-to-peer bet would actually be uploaded onto chain, so it says who you bet for and what the odds were, etc. And especially when we open up the markets, then that's critical, because if we have the honesty reserve and stuff, which we won't get into, but then people can referee it, and there's no point in trying to cheat the system because it is on chain and everyone can see the bets. And it's also very, in terms of being transparent with our betting volumes and all that sort of thing, all the bet details will be uploaded on chain. But in terms of the payouts and stuff, that'll be in a centralized manner.
I'm assuming there's some sort of a fee structure. Do the fees accrue back to the token holders, or do the fees, like how does that part work? Are you really using the token pretty much exclusively as a currency, or is there an actual DAO type situation where part of the fee, rewards, et cetera, are owned by the token holders?
In terms of the fees, do you mean for uploading bet data and stuff, or what sort of fees?
No, I'm assuming you take some sort of a spread, right?
Margin.
Or somebody takes a spread / margin. Does the margin accrue to the token holders, or is it more on that's more the traditional company that takes that?
The way it works is for the bookmaker side, we'll have the built-in margin, and so that might be say the true odds, we might have a 2.5% margin in there. It will fluctuate on different sports and different events, but on the bookmaker side, 50% of our margin comes to fund operations of the company. 25% of the margin will be burnt, and 25% will go to fund BetU Fantasy. On the peer-to-peer side, because we don't take any margin and there's no revenue for the company, we take a 1% winning fee. So if it's only on the profit. So if you won the bet and you won $100, BetU would take $1 as such, or one BetU token. So of the 1%, 50% would come to fund the operations of the company, 25% will burn, and 25% will go to help charity and people impacted by gambling addiction. So there's always going to be a decreasing supply with the burning of the tokens for every time there's a winning bet, which as long as we can continue to increase the demand, then the reality is we should be
let's dive a half a more second into the tokenomics. So you've got 1 billion max supply that you've said you're putting out there, and this is now the 4th time I've heard you talk about burning tokens. You've got essentially right now at approximately 16 cents. Don't look, I'm sure it's changed, and you've got where you want it to be. You would like to see BetU have, real value long term. Like, you've clearly studied this. You've been in crypto space for a while, so you understand the burning mechanisms, as well as, a billion market cap is that a hard cap, or do you have the ability to open that back up?
No, so we can't produce any more tokens. So the billion is now, the total is 993 million is the max, the total supply. So yeah, we're definitely in it for the long term, and that's what's frustrating in terms of, people see the price. Obviously we went 15x pretty quickly out of the gate, and now it's come back to 7 or 8x or whatever it is. But it's, we haven't even launched our platform yet. We're actually sort of 5 weeks old in terms of the token. I'm just like, come on, guys, give us a little bit of time.
That's why I need some long staking measures.
Yeah, so we are going to introduce the first year staking, just umming and ahhing a lot of different ways to do it. That's where we'll try and do it fully decentralized with it. But it's also, I'm quite against a lot of the DeFi projects where, you've got your 500 or 1,000% APYs, but then if you come in with, say, a reasonable APY, which is still high in my opinion, like say 20, 30, 40%, which is still really high, people are like, oh, it's not good enough. And so just trying to work out that balance. But yeah, in terms of long term, yeah, for sure. And we'll just scratch the surface this year, and then by the end of next year, we'll be absolutely flying. But it's, we'll just keep evolving in terms of the markets. Like with fantasy, we'll launch with the English Premier League, and then we'll spend probably 3 or 4 weeks getting a lot of user data, what people are liking, how they're betting, with the fantasy bets, I should say. And then we'll launch an NBA league and just keep improving the game on how based off user feedback. So, by, I'd say, early next year, the game will basically be complete, I would say, in terms of exactly how it'll run moving forward. But yeah, it's just the start, so it's quite frustrating from my perspective, and I'm sure everyone else in the team. When you just get all those negative Nancy's, where it's just like, why is it down? It's like, well, you can't keep going up, and it's bad if you do, in my opinion, because it's like the people come in early, and everyone's got different goals and objectives in crypto. You could come in and you've made 10 times your money within a month, which is awesome and good for you. But we're also looking at it. I could easily see us being $5-10 within 12 months, and there's just the size of the industry that we're playing in, and no one's done it well. And in terms of the game, we can tap into audiences that no one else in crypto can. They can, I'm sorry, but it's not as relevant to their say business as it is to ours. And you have some of the fan tokens and stuff like chillers, but yeah, we're just pumped about it. We just can't wait to get going. And in 2 short weeks, we'll have our first product, which is then. And I'm also not a huge believer in like massively doing like mass marketing, and the crypto marketing is expensive. The YouTubers are so overpriced for what they do and all this. So it's like,
we're cheap. We're free.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, awesome. So thank you. We appreciate it.
Hey, question. So obviously you're bringing up a really interesting problem if you do an early public sale. How come you went public sale instead of a VC fundraising round? I mean, that's lots of projects go VC first to avoid the exact problem you just mentioned. How come you went straight public sale instead of VCs?
Well, I just thought that I wanted to reward everyone that got in early with us, and as opposed to the VC route. And I thought we'll try and bring in the VCs if we needed it. But what we're actually looking at doing is, as opposed to, say, partnerships with VCs, what I think it makes more sense for us is partnerships with, leading sports management companies and even sports teams and other betting companies and things. So we're already in discussion with some really big names in both sports management as well as betting companies who are really interested in what we're doing. And that was one of the reasons which I sort of touched on. I put out a video today, just how we're going to push back BetU. Initially, we're going to launch the betting platform and then go straight into the gambling platform. But it makes a lot more sense for us to spread it out. We can learn from the game side of things, and then we introduce those features. Because everything we're doing is we're trying to, because we're not purely profit driven and we have the token, we feel like we can significantly improve the user experience of traditional betting platforms. And we can also give a lot of data back to bettors that they would have never have got with their existing platforms. But already we've got a lot of interest from big sports betting companies, and a few of the high-level management are invested into BetU, which is awesome. So we'll sort of go that route rather than, say, the early VCs. And based off just building the platform, we didn't need tens of millions of dollars. So we feel that we wanted to reward the people that supported us as a company, and so far that's what's happened.
Awesome. What is your acquisition strategy? Because obviously that's going to be the crucial part, is bringing in as many end users. Because I mean, I totally agree with you that this is going to be worth a lot if you have a lot of DAUs, basically. So what's the acquisition strategy there?
So for BetU Fantasy, we'll do just an airdrop. We'll start off with an airdrop with coin market cap of, say, like 100,000 users, where they'll just have to register on the platform, and we'll give them the chance to win straight away. They're playing the game. It's free to play. You can never lose that token. It's theirs and they can play. So we feel, and then a referral basis off that. So I feel with the game, we can get a huge amount of users pretty quickly off activities like that, and also tapping into the communities of, say, like FanDuel and DraftKings and these other fantasy games. And ours is quite different to theirs, so that a lot of them will be open to play. Not sure if you realize, but in terms of a strategy into actual gambling platform, FanDuel and DraftKings have about an 80% share of the betting market in America, and both of them were based off a game. So there's already a proven strategy there to go. So it didn't make sense for us to roll out both platforms immediately. But yeah, just a lot of incentives in terms of for the game, in terms of just to get users. And then we believe that the fun of it will spread pretty quickly, and we'll have referral bonuses. And the one BetU token to play is just as a token to play is just a small amount where we'll basically give them the first token so they can play a game, play the EPL league, and then if they want in the future to play in the NBA league or the UFC or Counter-Strike league, then they can buy the other token. And you'll find the average person is not going to buy one BetU token. And then we have two different leagues, so we'll have a major league and a minor league, or Division 1 and Division 2. And you have to hold more tokens to play in the major league, but then you also have the opportunity to win more money. And in terms of the actual betting platform, there's a lot of different strategies in terms of affiliate marketing and affiliate websites. There's a lot of groups like tipsters and punting clubs and things that we can tap into and offer incentives for the people who run those organizations. And then have a lot of, like, as you said, we mentioned before, like the free bets or deposit this and get extra, but then they would have to, say, place a certain amount of bets on the platform before they would be able to pull that out. Just traditional strategies that sportsbooks have used that are already shown the way, and we just can try and improve the user experience. And we feel it'll be a lot of referral business as well, and we'll incentivize people to refer friends and family.
So one of the less sexy parts of crypto, and I'm curious to hear about this, is KYC. How are you guys managing that?
Yeah, so with the game betting BetU Fantasy, there won't be any KYC. So because there's no gambling involved or anything like that. It's just the game. So there won't be any KYC on the gambling platform. There'll be complete KYC. So every user has to pass KYC before they can place a bet. It's a requirement of our license to do that. We're partnered with Onfido. They're our supplier for that. They're one of the biggest in identification verification. So they did our pre-sale as well, or ICO. And so, yeah, before a user can place a bet, they have to prove their identity. So the KYC is a critical part of just our license data. So
no, I can imagine. And then you incorporated where in the Caymans?
So our ICO is out of BVI. So the fundraising organisation was out of Virgin Islands, and then the initial gaming company will be out of Curacao, because that's where we'll get our gaming license. And then we'll need to establish different corporations in different jurisdictions. So say when we go for a license in America, we'll have to have a local American organisation and things, or corporation. So set up basically.
Yeah, let me guess, it's really easy to navigate those waters.
And I assume that's why it hasn't been done, because I feel that, when you can set up a DeFi project, raise millions of dollars, and you can be anonymous and, just write some code and away it goes. I feel it's a lot easier than all these legals and stuff. But we've got we're working with Jamie Nettleton of Addison's in Sydney. He was recommended to us from one of the sports books in America. Said he's one of the best in the world. He's basically who's who of gambling law in terms of licensing. And so he's helping us navigate those waters of gambling laws and things. But it's definitely a challenge, and it's not as easy as a lot of other things we could have gone down. But it's also exciting, and it'll be worth the effort.
What did your lawyer think of crypto? Was this his first endeavor into the crypto space?
He didn't take payment in crypto. That's what he didn't do.
No, he did not. I'm always pleased when you ask, a lot of people, when you say USDT is usually what I would say to them. I love it when they say, yeah, no worries, whereas it's always a problem is like, what is that? It's like, oh, here we go. But
I wouldn't take Tether either, so he's not wrong.
He had some a basic understanding of it, but at the minute, say in Australia, crypto isn't recognised from the Gambling Commission. But they are looking at it, which is exciting. So when they do, then we'll have the opportunity. And every country is quite different. So the Curacao license basically gives us worldwide access. excluding the States, Netherlands, France, and then a few of the countries that are very strict on their own internal policies, and one is Australia. So we wouldn't allow people in Australia to use the betting platform until we have a Australian-specific license. So we need to do it each jurisdiction at a time. But yeah, so everyone's going to be different in terms of whether they accept crypto at this point in time.
How come you went for with the Curacao company? Like, what's the timeline on that? Like, how long is it going to take, and how sure is it you're going to get it?
So the Curacao company is already set up. So we would have submitted. Our initial plan was we were going to submit for the gambling license last week, but we decided when we submit with the gambling license, what we have to do is we have to submit a demo platform to them, and it'll take about a week from there. So we've already done all the documentation and everything that was required, and so that took a month or so to prepare all the documentation. And we're working with an agent that was recommended by the license issuer. So they've done it before and they're walking us through. But so we have to set BetU behind a password protected wall, and then once we release once we get the license, we have to geo-block those countries I just mentioned, such as USA. And because we don't want to launch now, it doesn't make sense for us to get the license now, because then all of our traffic is currently coming to BetU in terms of promotion. So we're going to delay that until December, when we're actually ready to roll it out. So now the website can stay completely open without having any geo blocks or anything. Because in terms of, obviously right now we're promoting the token and we're promoting the game. So if someone comes from, say, CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap, and they're from America and they see, a geo block or whatever, there's already, 10,000 or 11,000 projects we're competing with. So to block our site would just be, I think it's a really step back in terms of the immediate future. For sure, when we have the platform ready to go, it's something we have to do. But we'd also have fantasy. We're also working with them to potentially do a subdomain and things, and it's something they haven't allowed before, but they're potentially open to it, where we can keep BetU.io open as a promotional tool for the token, but then the betting platform would save it on a subdomain like bet.betu.io or something like that. But we're going back and forth there. But yeah, at this stage, so we don't have we're not concerned whatsoever about obtaining the Curacao license. In terms of gaming licenses worldwide, it's probably the easiest one. There's Kanawaki as well, a province in Canada that is also easier to obtain. But there's 4 options for us in Curacao, so it's not an issue. But and everyone in crypto, as soon as you say, you're pushing something back, it's like, what's happened? So we basically said there'll be no team tokens distributed whatsoever until we obtain the license. So just to give people the confidence in what we're doing. And it's no rush for us anyway, in terms of, I think everyone on the team's in it for the long term. I don't feel anyone's trying to cash out, right at this instant anyway. So it's just...
That'd be the worst bet ever. Yeah.
First 30 days, team cashes out.
Why do you need to geo-block if you're doing KYC? Why don't you just block based on the KYC, I guess? Because, obviously the geo-blocks are super easily circumvented via VPN, but why not just use the KYC data?
Just the license obligation.
Oh, so it's both. But so if I'm American and I VPN in and KYC as an American, I'm still stuck not being able to use the platform.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was wondering. Okay, so it's just the geo block is just a straight up licensing requirement.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And that's another reason why fantasy, I feel, is just so critical for us. So although you wouldn't be able to bet on the betting platform, say within the next 6 months or 12 months until we obtain individual licenses in an American state, however long that's going to take us, you'll still be able to use the game, so you can still have fun and use the platform. And as I said, there's no real gambling, so it's just a game. And we feel that way now it's fully inclusive. Beforehand, it was going to be like, well, if you're in America, you're not going to be able to use it. And so sure, you still might hold BetU token for the opportunity to make gains in the token price. But we want people to be interactive with the whole platform and the whole ecosystem. And that's where the game is so critical, in my opinion.
So in your white paper, you refer to whale holders pay no winning fees. What size do we need to be a whale?
So we had it set at 1 million tokens, but that was obviously initially. So we'll adjust it based off the price of the token. So the winning fees applies to, and we'll have different incentives too with the whale holder benefits, where you'll have, say, the no winning fee on peer-to-peer bets, but also maybe like odds boosts and things like that if you hold, say. And we'll change it based off, if BetU's $1, we're not going to make someone have 1 million tokens, for example. So
you haven't been to Vegas in a few minutes.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll just do a lot of different incentives for that. We're actually talking about the accepting crypto and different use cases for it. I'm currently in negotiation for a property in Bali, which we want to purchase and then reward both whale holders and also our biggest bettors and our best players and things, so they could actually come to Bali and have a free holiday, enjoy themselves, and it'd be comp, so they would just come and stay at the BetU house. I think it's just an awesome incentives. As you're probably aware, in like sports betting, in terms of like VIPs and looking after the biggest bettors and stuff, it's a crucial element to the business. And like VIP hosts and stuff are just a business relationship managers, where, say, like a casino obviously flies people in and they stay at the casino, they get a certain amount of shows and all that sort of stuff. So we need to be able to come up with ways to reward our most important clients, and that's something we want to do. But yeah, so back to your question about the whale holder benefits, we'll adjust it based off demand and where people are at and the price of the token. So that will change and fluctuate.
What's your current staff size now as you're building, and where do you project that you're going to need to be within 6 months of your launch?
So we've currently got 25 people on the team, and then
is that decentralized, meaning anywhere in the world, or do you have an actual BetU office?
Yeah, no, we don't have a BetU office at all. So everyone, especially with Corona when we started, it's sort of a bit pointless, to be honest. I'd love it if it changes in the future. I'd love everyone. I've been trying to get Scott over to Bali, and I know I was trying to get Graham back to Bali and have like a central office here where all the team. Leo's currently in France. He's coming back to Bali soon, which is awesome. Our Vietnamese team will obviously stay in Vietnam. But in the future, I feel like we're doing current recruiting for customer service at the minute. Business development's important. Affiliate marketers is another one. VIP managers and stuff, and relationship managers, all that sort of thing. But customer service is obviously going to be an important thing, and what you've mentioned before about the education. So in terms of predicting numbers, a lot's going to be based off how well we actually grow. We also want to get a gun esports marketer. We really want to tap into that audience in terms of like Twitch and the different esports and the leagues and things. So we're really looking for someone who's just an absolute gun in that space. But in terms of a head count, it's difficult to say. It really depends on how successful we are when we launch.
So with e-gaming, and I think that's your kind of diamond in the rough, that if you can crack that nut and have BetU be the currency with the referees that you're talking about, would be huge. So you're thinking that there's two people want to play Fortnite against each other. There's a third party there that acts as a referee, and obviously you can do some on-chain things to determine what happened, what didn't. But that's still kind of a stretch goal, because that's going to take a while to build out beyond, because you don't have a feed for that stuff, correct?
Yeah. Well, so the way the referee, if we have an oracle and that's where BetRadar is so critical for us, and we've just actually all those integrations and stuff are all complete. So we pull all the data and the odds and the matches, and currently they have an esport offering. But if we were opening it up to the situation you just suggested, as long as the event's public, what the strategy was is if two people are having a bet, and they would have to have a 30% honesty reserve in addition to the amount they wanted to bet. And then at the end of an event, if someone tries to cheat, so if you basically it's an honesty system. So you would say whether you won or you lost. If you won, you're never going to say you lost. But if you tried to cheat, you might say you won, and then it would go to a referee. But then the referees would basically be 3 referees. It'd have to be unanimous decision, and that's where, again, we'd be tied in with Chainlink, where they would randomly choose the referees. The referees would also have to hold some tokens for the ability to earn revenue, and the referees would earn revenue because when the cheater gets found out, that 30% honesty reserve would get distributed to the referees. So there's the penalty similar to like, a Bitcoin miner who tries to cheat the system, they get penalized from the electricity. Whereas this, they would have to stake the extra 30% as an honesty fee. But yeah, that is down the track. And again, it's still a huge market we can tap into, but it's still nothing compared to the major sports market. And it's where we want to go. Like obviously, we always run that risk when you're starting a business, and there's always new ideas. Also looking at like a full interactive casino, like into like Decentraland space where you'd come into the casino as like a game. You're walking around, you can go to a show, you can go sit at the sports book and play, or you can go to the poker tables and play, and there's like real interaction. You can go to the bar and have a drink or walk around, and potentially that could be sponsored by like the Wynn Casino or something. Like there's so many ways we can take this and have a lot of fun with it, but we need to do, a few things really well first.
A little bit of focus. I'm going to also, as we're getting ready to wrap up here, if there's anything else you guys want to mention, and I'd like to commend you both on, you've gone almost an hour and no one on this call has mentioned NFTs. So that's a huge win overall. So congrats on that.
Well, can I just mention NFTs then?
Yeah, how's your NFT platform rolling out? Come on, that's the big hot buzzword.
Praise. We thought part of BetU Fantasy, you get the rewards, and we thought when you win a week, you would get the BetU tokens. But we're also getting together some of the Bali models. Obviously, our audience is mostly guys in terms of sports betting. So there'd be a girl who'll come out and like give you a little congratulatory message or whatever it is, and then that would be as an NFT, so we distribute it to their wallet and stuff. So they were definitely not doing an NFT marketplace, but that was just something we thought as a fun reward, and just to be in the whole crypto craze, it's be worth doing.
That goes into the whole POMP proof of membership protocol, type thing. So it's actually very cool to have something that says that we win. But as I said, is there anything else, Stefan, that we missed, or Paul or Scott, you guys wanted to throw in before we end here?
I would just say I'd love your whole community to come and jump on board Fantasy in 2 weeks and play and give you feedback and hopefully win some BetU tokens. And if any of your community has any questions, then feel free to reach out to Scott or myself. We're very accessible and happy to answer any questions. And yeah, it's just the very start of our journey, and we have a long road ahead, and it's a very exciting one.
So 2 weeks from now, it's about the 22nd or towards the end of the month. We'd love to have you on our big fireside where there's a whole bunch of people, and we can lots of people can harass you guys, and even do some demos and go forward. So we'd love to have you. This is, like I said, our first one that we've done as a recording. So we appreciate you guys being our guinea pigs, and hopefully it was a good experience. Stefan, do you have anything else?
I don't think so. That was great. Thank you, guys. That was fun.